Okay, so welcome to this video. This video is going to be all about just stick. So I've had another video request, so it's about a stick and not, so I've done Joe Staff, which is a 4-foot stick basically, but this is going to be slightly shorter. So typically this length or a bit shorter. I've just got a couple different ones with me just to demonstrate it's a very versatile weapon. It's very good for practical self-defense because if you have the mindset of using your environment to help you sort of Jackie Chan style, you can think there's a lot of stick-shaped objects in the everyday environment around you, so it's one of those weapons where any sort of training you do with it, any techniques you learn, can be potentially practical because you can find objects that you can just do the same technique with and it's exactly the same. So got a walking stick here, sort of light wooden one. There's one stick. I've got a piece of broken broomstick here, this sort of stick. And I've got a piece of cut off wood as well, just to demonstrate. This one's even a bit pointy on this end. How about for stabbing? So, stick, very versatile weapon. Very, it's quite lightweight, fast. It's a blunt weapon. So the difference between a blunt weapon, you've got blunt weapons and sharp weapons. So blunt, ideal for hitting harder, bony areas, especially places like the skull. That's the best place to go for with a blunt weapon. If you want to get that sort of concussion or ballistic knockout from just making the brain shake in the head. And then you've got your sharp weapons, which are better, instead of going for bone, better go for fleshy areas that are soft because you can just tear through blood vessels, things like that. So it's a blunt weapon. You're not going to cause serious damage because it's lightweight with most areas except for the head, of course. Most areas you whack, even the bony areas, it will hurt a lot, but it won't cause significant damage lots of the time, but it is very good for just beating on someone, essentially just causing a bit of pain. It's useful. It's a good defensive tool. It's got long reach, or decent reach. You can distract people with it. You can do other techniques with it as well. You can sort of do grapples and throws. You can supplement them in the same way that a Yawara can. I'm not sure if I've done the Yawara before, a video on it, but if I haven't then I should, because it's a similar weapon in the sense that there's lots of objects that can be used like one. It's kind of like just a stick that's about this long, if I've not done it already. I'm not sure if I have, I can't remember. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. So let's look at how we can sort of use it as a weapon. So, stick, everyone likes playing with sticks as a kid. So, this way, I'm going to use a walking stick, so it's good. It's decent length, and it works well. Just hold it this way. It's a very fast weapon. So it's speedy, good range. I can stand all the way over here, still hit my target. So it's good for all of that. Good impact, at places you want to hit, weak areas. Sort of fleshy areas are good if it's a sort of pressure point area. It just hurts, it's pain. If you want to cause pain. Pain is useful. To cause, even though things like an adrenaline rush can sort of null pain, certain areas still hurt and they can cause people to move in certain directions that you want them to go. So it's kind of still useful to know how that works. But so any similar to how you'd use a sword, just you want to hit certain areas. Neck's always a good place, head, stuff like that, and then. Now if I switch it this way around, in this instance, it's a bit heavier on this way, and I might want to use it with two hands this way because of that aspect of it. Let's assume most sticks don't have a heaviness, but it's faster or slower depending on the weight of the stick itself. Like I said, if I just flip it this way, it's a little bit slower because it's heavy on the end. One like this, it's slightly lumpier, a bit heavier, doesn't swing as fast, still pretty quick, but it's just good. You don't want to be hit with this, do you? It's just a bit of wood, but it's a stick, and it's just a blunt weapon. You can just hit people with it. There's no real specific way of using it. I mean, the best way to learn proper stick fighting is to look at the Filipino martial arts, because they do a lot of stick fighting, and a lot of their sort of sparring, dueling with sticks is all kind of about flanking the opponent and getting on the side, hitting them. They do a lot of dual stick wielding stuff. You know, we kind of the side, get on. A double attack like this is really good because it's very awkward to try and guard high and middle sort of distance at the same time. It's kind of awkward. You can't really do it with one arm, you kind of have to use both. Or do something like that. It's really awkward to try and block a double strike like this. It's medium and high at the same time. But it's really versatile. You can just hit and stuff. You've got different angles you can come from, similar to with the katana. Very similar stuff. It's just a blunt weapon, not a sharp weapon. So let's have a look at some potential like techniques we can do with it. That's alright. Do things like little tap, just a distraction, but long range, just a little tap to distract and give them something to think about instead of something else. And I'm just thinking of random stuff right now, not actual techniques. Quite fast. Surprise attack from there. This is like walking stick only. But so when it comes to techniques for the stick, say you use this one. It's just a rough, ready hand weapon. Let's think about what we can do, how we can use it. So it's good for striking, beating, blunt weapon, hard, solid areas of the body. Good for smacking them. Let's see. You're going to have to use your imagination a bit for this, I'm afraid. I don't have anyone to perform the techniques on. So let's say there's someone here, or roughly just in front of them, so I can move around where the punch bag is. Just sort of here. Let's say there. Let's say the right lead forward, so the right leg is forward. Just because it makes it easy to move around from this way. Obviously I could also move this way if it was a left hand, but it kind of blocks the camera view. So let's just pretend right lead stance, and then sort of come in with like jabs, something like that. You can just sort of move around, parry it like this. Is a good blocking defensive tool as well. You can block with it, slide it in front of their neck, like that, over their arm, through their guard. You can quickly move around, get like this, back of their head, and you get a nice choke. Just scissor this here, really nasty choke because this is really solid, it's not forgiving. Just bring it in there, and you can step backwards to sort of get them off their feet, makes it more awkward for them. Then also you've got to watch out for their right arm, it's going to try and come up and grab you in some way. I want to duck your head down here, try and keep your head safe until you choke does its work. You can. I thought of something quite nasty. Obviously, this stuff is harder to pull off in practice than in theory, but that's why you just got to drill techniques like this. You got to practice them a lot. So let's say we come the other way this time. Come this way, more defensive block like this. And then I'm going to stick it around to the back of the head, so it kind of goes around the back of the head, neck, and you can quickly come in here and grab it, the side that sticks out, come in, and then you got a really nasty sort of head hit throw with the stick. That's horrible, I bet, because you've got that pulling you forwards. So again, sort of some sort of defensive manoeuvre to block in here, get it around the back, grab it, step in, pull the head over your body until their centre of gravity is kind of just on your hips, and then you can just flick them over like that, bang. Ooh. Nasty. So you can use sticks like that to enhance grappling, throwing techniques as well. Obviously, like I said, it's hard for me to demonstrate them without somebody to do them on, but you know, that gives you a good idea. Like I was playing around with earlier, it's a weapon with extra reach. It gives you some kind of advantage against someone who doesn't have anything, or if they've got something like a knife, it's still got more range. You can just keep your distance, you know. You can just stop them from getting inside that sort of nasty cutting range with the knife. And you can trying to smack the back of the hand. If you can hit the back of the hand or the back of the wrist just there, sometimes you can sort of cause the fingers to reflexively open, or to at least lessen their grip, and that can actually whack the knife out of the hand. Obviously, knife stuff's always it's always a tricky one to talk about, like knife defense. I don't want to go into it too much because it's obviously a bit of a dodgy topic. A lot of knife theory can sort of cause more harm than good, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's just something to mention. You know, get a bigger stick, something with longer reach. If someone is trying to attack you, if you can, try and get another weapon of some kind. You know, something like that. So if say it comes to combinations, similar to what I did in that recent katana video, you know, things that kind of flow nicely, sort of movements that flow nicely between each other, it's sort of similar to each other. You can kind of move in similar directions. Stuff like that. Bang. Going in opposite directions to where you came. First strike. Move in at a 45-degree angle. That. Stab in. Just jabbing movements. Just to keep back. You know, very fast and strike nasty areas. So that's about as much as I can comfortably say about you know, the stick. This sort of length weapon. Like I say, it's very universal, very adaptable, so it's good to practice at least, get comfortable with the idea of fighting with a stick and see what things you can do with it. Obviously it's a very simple rudimentary weapon, but still very effective, useful one to sort of play around with, I think. I don't have as much background experience from a sort of traditional or more formal perspective when it comes to stick work, but like there's no kata or anything that I know. There's not as many application techniques that I know, but it's very similar to things like the Yawara. You can do a lot of Yawara techniques with a stick that's this length, because a lot of it involves just back fisting or like hitting areas with a very small surface area, so it causes a lot of pain. You can stick it into things, you can use the leverage aspect, so you can do like a classic jiu-jitsu wrist lock technique, but with this, and use that on the back of the wrist. Really hurts, so you can use it to enhance ship techniques in a similar way. Other ways too, striking, you know, it's just like a club, whack, whack, whack. Simple enough, but you know, think about areas that you're going to try and hit. What are the best, most effective places to strike with a blunt, sort of not as heavy blunt weapon, but a fast blunt weapon like this. You know, how can I get through someone's guard? Say, it depends on the situation. You know, say it's against an unarmed person. How can I use the range? Or if they have a weapon but it's a shorter one, you know, use that range to your advantage. How can you use it as a distraction tool? Like I said, you know, I can sort of set up this high kick to the head by hitting somewhere down here first, just as a sort of distraction, get the guard and attention focused on this side of the body in the lower region, exact opposite to where I'm actually going. So something like that. It's fast enough to cause some kind of reflex response. They're gonna, you know, it's gonna get them to move this way and get their attention focused on this side. So I can come up with that, and there's not as much time to respond to it. Things like that. So apart from that, that's the stick stick fighting stuff, and I will see you in the next video.